do a sketchbook tour for y'all today. This sketchbook is from 2017, so quite a while ago, but it's actually a pretty good one, or I felt like it was a pretty good one because it's got my Inktober stuff at the end, and that Inktober for me was quite successful, both as like a personal project and also on social media. I think it like worked really well. But that was the, if you've been following me for a while, that was the Inktober I did the animals playing instruments. So they're all kind of tucked away at the end, and you can see, I mean, there's lots of like fails and stuff in there. So it's kind of fun. At the time, so again, around 2017-ish, and before this, I actually always use these sketchbooks for a long time. I use these kind of like hardbound sketchbooks because they're really great to travel with. So you can, you know, tote them around in bags and they don't get too beat up. And then you can also, like, I don't know, use them as a prop to draw on top of. So if you have like your iPad or something, they're just kind of handy for that reason. So I liked kind of the stiff, books. And I will say normally I went with the more portrait format, but this one happens to be landscape, and I'll probably have to shift this around a little bit and hopefully keep everything kind of in the center so it's visible, just because it is that long format, and I was kind of drawing in two different directions. And in fact, at one point I have to kind of flip the book entirely around. So I just used it however I used it. I, like many other artists, also put stickers on my my sketchbooks, and sometimes they are stickers I've purchased from other artists, and then sometimes there's free stuff I get in the mail. So this is the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, that's one of their stickers, and then Planned Parenthood sticker. So that's what this one happens to have on it. Some of my other sketchbooks have better stickers. So let's just start flipping through. So here you can see my Post-its. I really like Post-its for keeping track of things. I keep track of daily tasks on Post-its, and I keep track of ideas on Post-its. And I like them because obviously you can just move them around from thing to thing. So, you know, you'll see things kind of stuck in here possibly as I go through. I've actually done it more as I've kind of continued. But on these Post-its in particular, I just have some ideas for, I think, drawings and businessy type stuff. So just things I was kind of trying to track. And I actually just wrote this down. So that says 2017. Because I realized like in a few years, I might not remember when this actually was. So I wanted to keep track of that as well. I hope it was 2017. That's my recollection. If not, I'll correct it. So anyways, yeah, we just start out, you know, just sketching a bunch of stuff. So you can see here, this is where I'm using it more in that portrait format, which I was used to. Really into drawing faces. You'll see lots of faces in this sketchbook. There was a period of time where that's kind of all I drew. And like for years, it was the majority of what I drew. And I think I was really trying to figure out style. And you'll see actually in this one in particular, I actually think my style gets a little too conforming. So like these like swoopy noses and the kind of slanted eyes I was doing at the time, which I do like aesthetically, they just, it almost became only about that. So the diversity in my characters, I don't think is coming through as well in this sketchbook as I have kind of learned to do later on. So it's kind of fun for me to look back and be like, oh, I was really interested in the eyes and nose and like stylizing myself at the time of this sketchbook. And this gal, I think, was maybe a reference. I might have drawn it at a coffee shop or something. Occasionally when I have like whole bodies like that, I might be drawing someone. It might be a reference from like a movie or something, because I oftentimes draw from movies. Again, I might just keep it this direction for a little bit. More sketches, again, lots of faces, a couple whole bodies here. Notes on books to read, 100 hands. So I was like, should I draw 100 hands as a project? Because you can see I'm kind of trying to figure out hands. Hands are still hard. I tend to draw them in a very particular way now, but if you zoom in on them, I have to draw them differently. So this weird bunny in a bag, I don't know what that's about. Here I drew some little quails, and you can see I have Q for quail. And I think this, initially when I was looking at this, I thought this was a list, like just glancing through it, I thought this was a list for my animals for Inktober, but now I realize it was an alphabet I was thinking about doing, which maybe I'll revisit. Sometimes going through old sketchbooks is really fun, just to like find an old list or like a gem of a story or an old sketch that you really like. So it's kind of fun to be like, oh yeah, I started doing an animal alphabet. Maybe I should continue with that. This one, I don't really know what to say about this one. I think I was like, I had a very like conceptual idea about like someone being like locked up in their own brain or something. I mean, you can kind of see locked up prison. I don't know. I don't know what I was going with for it, but it was, you know, it's very stylized and kind of interesting, and very representative of a particular time of my work. And the hands are pretty bad here and kind of don't make sense where they are. So, odd cat. I was clearly playing with kind of angular shapes and animals, and yeah, it's fine, but I am glad I didn't continue with it. More faces. You can see I'm drawing some like worms. It's actually a caterpillar, and then like a butterfly here. There's its wings, and it's got a little bag, which is actually kind of adorable. And then I've got this mason jar worm and a mason jar and a little sail. And then here's a butterfly and the caterpillar. And this is, and actually this boy is related to it too. This is based on a story I've kind of had in my brain for a really long time. But every single time I try and write about it, it just won't come out. I think it's too wordy right now. So it's one of those ideas that I have that I actually think is really good, like conceptually, but I just have not been able to get it down on paper. But it's been with me. I mean, I know I started it before this, the idea of it, and then I must have actually been trying to like kind of draw some characters at this time, and it's still on my brain. So years later. Funny little worm with kind of an angry face. He's actually pretty cute. Have no idea what that's for. I know for a fact that that's a sketch of my husband at some point. I think we were at a coffee shop. And then these are just random drawings. Turn this back again. So here I've written down some like moth types, I believe. And I think I'm still into it. I really like the kind of, like, I can't remember the proper term for it, but like the dead bug collecting. So you kind of, preserve them in a box or whatever. And I think I was thinking of doing like a series with different moths. I never did it. There's lots of ideas in here that never get executed. And this I actually did turn into a finished drawing, which you can probably find on my Instagram. I don't think you can find it on my website anymore. And I liked it for a while. But it might be gone for all I know. But it's kind of a fun little idea. Maybe something to revisit. Just sketches of plants, some leaves, kind of trying to get better at that. Little reference of some sort of, I don't know, flower-ish girl there. And then this is actually a drawing of, or a sketch from one of Matthew Forsyth's drawings. So I was using his as a reference because I liked, if you're familiar with the image that this is taken from, I liked the way that his character was sitting and kind of like looking at a child from the back, and I hadn't really done that before. Again, I've been drawing lots of faces in the sketchbook. So I decided to sketch what he did and kind of get a feel for his drawing there. And, I do that from time to time where I'll see an artist I like's work or the way they've posed a character and be like, oh, I don't know how to do that, and I don't know how to reference that. So I'll actually reference their work. I wouldn't put it in a final drawing, but for my sketchbook, I think that's totally acceptable to reference other artists' work. And that's how a lot of people learn too, is like sketching the masters or, redrawing comics or whatever. So you can do that in the kid lit world or just art world as well. Clearly some sort of idea I had here for someone walking through some plants. It looks very like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So I don't know if that has anything to do if it's like a tiny person or not, but here is this is completely not art related. This is a list of things I need to buy and do, I believe. Yeah, like to-dos and like little sketches of floor plans for the house we bought in 2017. And actually, so that's how I definitely know this is 2017. So we bought a house in 2017 and had a lot of things to do over the summer when we bought it. So I'm guessing this is right around the summer. And my education is in architecture and interior design. So, you know, I was figuring out where all our furniture was going and what we needed to buy and replace. When we moved into that house, the toilet did not work. And we did not realize that. So we had to like immediately replace the toilet, which was funny. Luckily we had about a month overlap. So there were some things that we were able to, fix before we moved in. Lots of painting. My husband hates painting to this day, I think because of the hours and hours he put in at painting that house. All the walls were like, it's like lime green and yellow and purple walls. Like the whole house was just colorful walls, and the house was really small. So we painted everything white to bounce light around, and brighten up the space quite a bit. But going over purple paint with white paint takes a few coats. Here, you know, just some plants, some more faces, swear words. You'll see those throughout. I was actually looking through an older sketchbook before I opened this one. And there's lots of kind of like negative self-talk in it, which is kind of funny because I don't tend to do that anymore. Well, I do, but I don't do it in my sketchbook maybe. But lots of kind of swears and, you know, just quit, which I'm glad I didn't, but, you know, you feel down and you kind of might use this as a sort of journal as well. And you'll see a few kind of like random text I've written in here. Like maybe I was watching something or listening to something and I'm actually like writing just random words from the thing I'm watching or listening to. Here's some florals. So looks like roses or maybe peonies, but they're the buds. And then I don't really know what's going on here. It looks like someone eating something and it almost looks like they're eating a person, but I don't think that's what it is. So have no idea. Here are more faces. Again, kind of working on that really like stylized look that I was doing at this period of time. So the slanty eyes, and I was kind of playing with pupil size. And then this like hook-shaped nose, and clearly I did not like any of these. They have X's over them. I don't like that one either, and I probably didn't like these. But I think I probably liked this one, which feels fairly balanced for that style. So, you know, I'll draw things and I'll say, hey, I don't like those, and I'll X them out. More faces. Tell a story, so notes to myself to be thinking about telling a story in my drawings. That's Freddie Mercury. I know that for a fact. I don't think these are anybody in particular, but I think, again, working with that, I was working with that style, so changing the face shape a little bit, still having that hooked nose and seeing what that did to a character. Again, I think it's a little bit, it worked for Freddie Mercury, to be honest with you, but I do think it's a little bit, like, doesn't work quite well if I'm trying to show diversity. So, you know, noses come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Eyes come in different shapes and sizes. And I think I'm a little bit better at being aware of that now than I probably was when I was so heavily into kind of a repetitive style. This is the princess from Neverending Story. I still love and treasure that movie. I think it's so great. And I probably was watching it at the time when I drew this. And you can see I even have like a little crop around it. Like maybe I was going to finish it, which I didn't do. This is a drawing based on a piece of folklore about this like queen of the snakes, and it's a snake with a woman's head. I think it's from like 1,000 Tales of Arabian Nights or something. It's from a book. The story, as I know it, is from a book that I read when I was young. That was actually my mom's book, and I do have it, but off the top of my head, I don't remember what the name of the story is. But I've always liked that kind of folklore character, and I love folklore in general. So you'll probably see, you know, references to that kind of stuff in my work in general. Handmaid's Tale reference, and you can see I have mirror duplicate written right there. So in the finished version of this, I had 2 of these, and I scanned them into Photoshop and flipped them so that they were talking to each other. And then I rendered them kind of separately, similarly. So it was this like kind of long linear piece. And then I redid this actually, I don't know, maybe a year or 2 ago, probably 2 years ago at this point, year and a half ago. And kind of updated it. And I really like that version, but it's only one. So there's not 2 facing each other. And then I have some quotes here. May the fruit under his eye, blessed be the fruit, may the Lord open. So I was writing little quotes there, and you can see I have Mayday there and under his eye. So just playing with the text I wanted to go in there. This was for client work. Their tagline was like, "We love dropping F-bombs." It was a flower company, and so F-bombs were flower bombs. And on the next page, you can see I'm kind of sketching the bubble. It's basically their car or their van that they deliver with. And then it was like, you know, the fumes, I guess, from the car going up. And it said, "We love dropping F-bombs." And this was their idea for the drawing. I initially had, I think, the smoke, I guess, as blue because I didn't want to look like it was like pollution, but they really wanted it to be gray. So in the end, the final was gray. But I think the one I have on my website, because I think I still have this on my website, I think I left as blue because I just preferred the blue to just not look so environmentally toxic. But they were a great client, and I think, they can art direct however they want. This is from the movie It, so it says "You'll float too." Obviously I didn't really finish this. It's kind of just this random, face on the sheet. But I really loved that movie when it came out, so I drew it apparently. That is Amy Winehouse, if you recognize her. I probably was watching the documentary about her around this time. And if you haven't watched that, it's a really good documentary. It's fairly sad as far as how I think celebrities are treated by the media, and particularly how she was treated. And she just had a rough time in general too. So anyways, it's a good documentary. More faces. This was kind of based on, I think, some Pinterest image I saw, and I maybe combined things. It was Victorian inspired lady with a hat with a cat on it. And I did render this and finish it, so you could probably find that on my Instagram. Ooh, this is exciting. So here's where we get into, my Inktober drawings. So you can start to see animals. It says frog with trumpet. That's clearly what I've drawn there. I have no idea what that says. And then giraffe and tuba, which is there. And then I have starfish, oboe. You'll see actually notes throughout here. Otter, ukulele, hog with a piccolo. I don't do all of these. I did, I used like a matching thing online. So like a generator, right? I used an animal generator and an instrument generator to pair these up, but there's a few that just didn't work. Like the shape of the animal body was too hard, or I didn't like drawing the animal, or, the instrument and the animal didn't work together just proportionally. So there were a few that I switched kind of on the fly. But there's a lot of the base sketches for what was finalized are in here. You can see again, hate it, hello, more swear words. This is quite a beautiful rendering of a swear word. So occasionally I just kind of randomly have notes in there. Didn't end up doing the starfish. Did do the walrus with the oboe. Is he playing an oboe? Yes, I believe so. And oftentimes you'll see that I have kind of two versions. Like maybe the body of this one was working okay, but I liked the face of this one. And I would actually piece those together in Photoshop. So as we get going through here, you'll see little stars by some of the faces of like a head next to a body. And that's usually I'm going to swap it out. And actually I really like this one too. This one's a little bit more expressive, and I think the eye shape is, more on brand with what I was going for at the time. So here we've got the hog. I actually went with this face. So I actually did keep the shape of this body, I believe, but I kind of photoshopped this head on to the final rendering, and same with the donkey. This face just looked kind of, I don't know, old or like odd. And so this one looked a little more alert and sassy, to be honest with you. So I ended up subbing that out. And again, I just photoshopped those things together. And now I basically do that. If I have to Photoshop something together from a sketch, it's done in Procreate at this point. I just kind of mush things together and draw on top of them. And more I'm sketching in Procreate. So I'm not even drawing in sketchbooks as much and taking things from them. Otter with a ukulele. This one's a little lighter. And I think I used the second face. Not sure why. This face is kind of cute, but I must have liked this one better. Here we'll start to get around into flipping things around. So this was a chipmunk with a keyboard. Didn't like this sketch so much. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. It's kind of light. but I liked this one. It's kind of got a shorter, cuter, more stylized face. And you can see I put a star next to it. So I star things I like usually. Elephant with a guitar. And I think I redid this one. The elephant ended up doing the drums and someone else did the guitar. I think it was a sloth, I think. So there's something about this body position I didn't like. And I might not have even figured that out, honestly, until I rendered it, or I might have just skipped this one and moved on to another one when I was actually doing the prompts. So here's a ram. It says redo, so I do redo that, but a ram with cymbals, a beaver with bagpipes, and I use this face, so again you can see the star, a coyote with a tambourine. I did not do a coyote, but I can't remember if I did a tambourine and it was just another character, or if I just didn't do a tambourine. Lost track of that. This isn't too bad. I'm guessing I just didn't like it for some reason, so I decided to move on and I never came back to it. Parakeet with a triangle. You can see again I have a star next to this face, so I did do more of that style of face. Ferret with kazoo, never did that. Iguana with a fiddle, definitely did that. I drew its face a second time, but I did go with that kind of main face. And people really like this one. This one's a fun one in the finals. So again, you can go to my Instagram, you can go to my website and see kind of like the final versions of these. Snowy Owl with bongos, did not do that. I believe I did bongos with another character, but the owl, birds are really hard to get in like a sitting position playing instruments. Not impossible. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've done it successfully, but I was struggling with it. So anytime in Inktober when I struggled or got hung up on something, I've abandoned it because it's a daily challenge. You don't have time to kind of like not like something or not be like completely sold on something that you've drawn. And so I think with a daily challenge, if you're not feeling it, you just ditch it instead of like struggling to make it work. It's client work, or it's a picture book you're working on. Obviously, you probably need to work through that and draw it a few times to make it work for you. So, if it was a thing I had to finish for a particular reason, would have challenged myself. Did not do a baboon for a similar reason. This just looked awful. I did end up doing a harp. I think the crow is playing the harp. It's technically a mandrel. And I wrote Link's harp. So I think I erased that, wrote mandrel, and then I didn't end up doing this at all. I have done baboons since then in my How to Talk to a Tiger book, and I actually really love drawing them. But this time, I wasn't feeling it. Here we go. Here's the crow with the harp. Wolverine, I'm not sure slide whistle. That didn't happen. Or badger or Wolverine. I don't know if I decided what it was. Didn't do that. Here is Abe Lincoln. I'm guessing I was watching a movie like on him, or a dramatization of Abe Lincoln. And this was probably the first one I drew, which you can see it's a little bit more or less stylized besides the eyes. And then I kind of drew a few more times. This one I completely erased, or partially erased as much as I could erase it because I didn't like it. And then this one's a little bit more stylized. So I might have drawn this one from that drawing to kind of move it. And that's a really helpful, way to draw people in your style, especially if you're drawing like real people, is to draw them more realistically, because that's kind of how our eyes are trained, is to draw things and like line things up and match them. And that's oftentimes, if you've taken art classes, that's how you're trained to do it. And then you redraw it a few times to kind of get to your more stylized version. That's what I was doing here. More faces, lots of words, random words, my name. I'm guessing I was listening to something at some point. This is manservant. So I would totally assume I was listening to a podcast or watching something. But yeah, just random sketches. Again, more faces than anything. Kind of trying out something different there, still with the kind of swoopy nose, but trying to do an aged face. I don't think that was that successful, but I'm glad I was trying it. That's hideous. These are all kind of bad. Who knows what I was doing there. Here we get back to my lovely post-its, and you'll see these kind of throughout the end. When I flag my sketchbooks like this, it's usually because I want to come back to a drawing or an idea. for later. And even maybe, you know, I closed it, like I finished the sketchbook, I closed it up, I put it on the shelf, and then a few months later I came back and like started to flag things that I liked. So this is me drawing Coraline. So kind of a couple iterations of her. I think I like this one best. I didn't ever actually finish this drawing, which is maybe why it's flagged. Back to the Inktober challenge. This is the bunny with a slide whistle, and I did actually do that one. Didn't do a tapir with a saw. I don't think I did anyone playing a saw. There's a lot of instruments, by the way. I found out that there are plenty of instruments out there and kind of interesting ones, and you know, things that you might be familiar with but don't think of, and then things from other places for me in the US that I maybe wasn't even familiar with. Writing down some ideas for drawings I could do. So Sherlock, Katniss, Coraline, Kubo, Jane Austen, Agatha Christie, my favorite murder, things I like that I could do drawings based on. Little random ideas. I don't know if that was going to be like a comic or something. It says a girl with high anxiety who loves horror, true crime, and mysteries. That's kind of based on myself. I have medium anxiety. I don't have high anxiety. But I think this anxiety diaries idea was like, you know, an idea for like a comic or something, which I still have not really done a comic of any sort. Maybe just not something I'm naturally drawn to. And then here you can see, you know, a drawing that didn't really quite make it, but of a alligator or crocodile with that's the tambourine. Haha. I know, I mean, I do care for poetry too. It reminds me of Sleeping Beauty's Palace. Those are quotes from the Sense and Sensibility movie, the one with Kate Winslet and Hugh Grant, I believe. Maybe not. It might be the BBC one. I like the BBC one a lot, but either way, it doesn't matter. I know what I was watching. And so, you know, you can a little bit stylized there. Yeah. This one's, you know, little ogre witch with her cauldron. So we're probably getting further into October. I was doing some of the sketches for the Inktober challenge, I think prior to October starting, because I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to do a sketch like the sketch and do the finished drawing by the time October hit. So I actually did pre-do some of the sketches, and I actually went over a lot of these with Trace too afterwards and scanned the Trace in just to kind of finish them up a little bit more. We've got a raccoon, we've got a buffalo, those both made it in. The hedgehog made it in, but in a different form, which will probably come later. There, right there. You can see more ideas for animals that maybe I was interested in drawing. So I did make a list, and then I think it was on, you know, Google Docs or something, and then I kind of switched it up as I was going. This didn't turn into anything, more pairings there. Then there's this kind of like scary monster-ish sketch. I don't know, sometimes I like to draw scary things, so there you go. And I'm guessing this just started as like a blob or like that shape, and I just kind of filled it in. Here's another kind of, you know, I guess eerie, creepy drawing. I know I started with a skull there, and I kind of just added onto it. So sloth. Here we get the sloth with the guitar. There's a kangaroo. I don't think I did a kangaroo. Monkey definitely did. Monkey with a saxophone. I really like that one. Lizard with maracas. There's the elephant. He's playing a drum, or they're playing a drum. The llama with the oh my gosh, I'm having a banjo. Having a little bit of a brain fart there as to what I drew here. And this one actually, my friend saw what I was doing, so I was partway through Inktober here, and she was like, "Can you do a llama with a banjo? My friend would love that. So if you make prints, I'll order one." And I was like, "Sure." Girl playing baseball. Some other characters. I did the turtle with the trombone. Did that guy. Did that. The octopus. Never did a saw. Again, getting closer to Halloween. Did a little witch with a broom. I think I finished this one. I think I turned it into a finished illustration, or I partially finished it. I know I digitized it and I started it, but I'm not sure. Not sure if that actually ever got finalized. Koala. I did a koala. It looked a little bit different than that in the end. This was a drawing for a hand type project. It says architecture, obviously. And it was about technological, so tech in architecture. So that's why tech is kind of called out, architecture. And the cool thing about this was that this was a piece of hand type I illustrated, and then it actually was converted into like a 3D sketch, essentially. Like it popped forward using this app that this local company had created. And so we had like a QR code that related to this image. And this was an insert in a newspaper. The AIA, which is the American Institute of Architects, does an annual newspaper insert in where, you know, the city I was in this time. And so they asked me to do this. And so it was really fun to kind of think about it. Like, how do you draw something that can also be projected, essentially, and used by someone else? So the final, I think the final is on my website as well. So you can kind of go look at that, not the 3D version, but this is a slug alphabet. So I was thinking about doing an alphabet with slug shapes, totally inspired by me just like walking and thinking about slugs. And so you can see I'm starting to kind of draw it out here. This is a receipt. Yeah, just built out of slugs and little leaves. So slugs and leaves make up the alphabet. And I did do that. I turned it into a poster. But posters are actually, it was like a long poster, and those are really hard to print and ship. So I pretty much only did like a few of them for people I knew. And otherwise it just went away, which maybe I'll revive it someday. It was kind of a cute idea. More slugs. This was me redrawing an idea I had done, I think, a couple years prior, of this like mime in a box. I'm sure you can find that on the original on my Instagram somewhere. I don't know that I ever finished the redo of the idea. I liked this gal for quite a while. It was like a little space gal. Fully finished it, had a background and everything. Had some people buy prints. Now I dislike it quite a bit. It's just representative of a time of, you know, maybe I just didn't like my art then or something, but I did like it when I made it. So some skulls, little cutesy things. I think that's probably a house in my neighborhood at the time. More faces, nobody in particular. Probably was watching some sort of period something though, based on those characters. This little fox person character. I ended up doing this digitally, but I might have taken it down because I didn't really like it like a short while later, which happens with a lot of my work. I tend to not like it after a period of time. Yeah, more random sketches, little cactus, which I've done. I have some old prints that look like that, look like little crabby cactuses. This was for a 2018, so it would have been for January, a New Year's card that I never did, a Happy New Year card. And I have some great quotes here that I was gonna like add into it. This is a Neil Gaiman, so whatever you're scared of doing, do it. Great advice. I tend to really like this Ralph Waldo Emerson one. I've actually, thought about it for years and years and years, but it's always do what you are afraid to do, which, I mean, that's great advice. Is, it's just fear holding us back. And so I don't know, I like that quote, and I've used it a lot over the last few years to kind of motivate myself. And yeah, just playing around with the shape for the card. Again, I never finished this, but that's okay. This one I turned into a final illustration, and this one cracks me up. A lot of people really liked it, but my friend, who's a massage therapist, and she was working at a chiropractor's office at the time, she was like, that's a really cute drawing, but his back shape really stresses me out because it's so curvy and obviously not a position that you probably would be comfortable in, or that your spine naturally wants to be in. So kind of a funny comment. These were patterns I did at the time. Probably can still find those on my Instagram. Again, I think houses in my neighborhood. More sketches. I remember I quite liked this at the time, and I was going to turn it into a finished illustration. I don't think I did. And now I look at it and I'm like, oh, the neck position is so odd. Like that head needs to move back like a half inch or so. just looks really uncomfortable. I really liked kind of like this wild curly hair at the time. And you'll see as I get to the end, I think I have some sketches with a character with some wild hair, a worm, just random things. This little tape deck or tape cassette, I did turn into little stickers to and from, so they're like gift card stickers, and I still sell them. I really like them. So I still have these. Don't Bend Art Inside, and this one is the accompanying piece to that. I still have these. I still use them. I just redesigned these, so I'll phase the old ones out and I'll have new ones soon. Alice in Wonderland, I did end up fully rendering this too. I like the sketch quite a bit. I mean, it's still got that kind of like old style I was doing, but the rendering, it was really, it's fine. I'm sure it's still on my Instagram, but it was really, I don't know, over rendered or something. It just wasn't quite the like naive style I liked at the time. So I remember liking it initially and then kind of abandoning it later. Coraline, never finished that. This was going to be Mary Poppins. I can just tell by the body shape, and that might not have been Mary Poppins herself. It was probably, was it Dick Van Dyke's character, would be my guess? Maybe. Trace, so that was more of that New Year's card. Yeah, Mary Poppins. Some sort of little car idea, old-fashioned van. Might have been another idea for a New Year's card, I'm not quite sure. This ended up being a Madeline character, I believe, from the books. I wrote, WTF is this? I don't know. It looks like an animal of some sort, but clearly I did not like it. There are trying some more animals. This relates to the character on the next page. This is just kind of random. Maybe I saw someone else's drawing that was kind of like that, and I did my own version even. So here I must have been watching Stranger Things. This is clearly 11. Little bit of an odd proportions there, but that's okay. I didn't ever turn that into anything. Some little animals, or sorry, little vegetables. So artichokes, characters. It's a spring onion, I believe. And just some faces and cats and stuff. Probably a Harry Potter-ish character, some sort of wizard. And then, I don't know, I turned this into like a little mini story. She's holding poison. And that is Red Riding Hood. I also finished that one. This one, oops, sorry, shaking. I think I've been shaking a little bit throughout, but it's hopefully not too bad. This one I still really like, and I actually took a photo of it the other day when I was going through the sketchbooks, trying to figure out which one I wanted to show you guys. I don't know, there's something about this one that I really like, and I always intended to finish it. It's this guy kind of like leaning forward, reading his like mystery or whatever. And I just never did. And so maybe I'll come back to it. We'll see. I have lots of things that I need to get done. So that might not be a priority, but I do really like that one. And then, you know, Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. So I was clearly listening to My Favorite Murder at the time, which I still do listen to. Not quite as much as I did then. More sketches. There's Princess Leia. I know it's upside down, but I think you can tell who that is. This one, I also turned into finished drawing. She's this like tattooed lady sitting in a chair, and that was based on a photo I found on Pinterest. And then some sort of character with long hair. And I guess I'll flip it back around. Lots of flipping towards the tail end. That's Amelia Earhart. This is some random sailor I was drawing. Oh my gosh. My brain is dead right now. Y'all know who that is. And this is, goodness gracious. Angelica Houston. I was like, I went through this earlier, and I'm like, oh, Frida Kahlo, duh. I went through this earlier, and I was like, I know who all these people are, and now that I'm actually showing you guys, of course, I'm having brain lapses. This is that character saying like that had the kind of long curly hair. So I was like imagining if someone had like a massive amount of hair, what they could do with it, like wear it as a dress. You know, I think I had some ideas of like riding on her motorcycle. But this, you know, clearly this character. And here's, I did finish this one. So here's a gal with like a long hair and a little dog walking. And then Princess Leia, this is Twiggy, Angelica Houston again, I believe. Unless it's Cher. They have a similar vibe in the 70s. So it could be either one, but I think it's Angelica Houston. And then that's Amy Winehouse again. And this is the final page. And, you know, just a random character I drew, a hand and a little cloud. And then this I know is a reference of someone else's drawing that I just liked. I can't remember the name of the artist right now, but I think I could probably find their Instagram and tag it below or something, but their drawing was really cool. And so I think I drew what they drew and then I added to it maybe. I don't know that they had this kid here that I was kind of drawing and just liked it. It was spooky, kind of Edward Gorey-esque, but it's not Edward Gorey. And so I liked it, so I drew it. And that is the end. So thanks for hanging through my my first sketchbook tour.